It should exactly cater to the needs and demands of the question. That is first and foremost thing. Hi, hello. So today we are back with political science and international relations mains answer writing video. So as usual, we are going to compare two versions of answer scripts, and we are going to discuss the pros and cons and how much marks you will get for both the answer scripts, right? Fine. Take up one question from mains 2021 paper 2 section A question paper, right? So this is 20 mark question, right? Now I am going to first read the answer script given by a aspirant, right? Fine. So the question is, the modernization thesis asserts that affluence breeds stable democracy. How do you explain the success of India being the world's largest democracy as an exceptional case, right? See, now I'll just read out the answer written by an aspirant and I'll explain what are the problems with this answer, right? Fine. Now, so the first paragraph, many of the world's top performing countries in democratic index like Norway, Finland, New Zealand are wealthy countries, which reflects the Lipset's modernization theory on democracy, where wealth is the building block of democracy, full stop. Wealth leads to education, education will improve technology and development, which will result in stable democracy. And democratic breakdown are more likely to happen in countries which are low income and often relatively young democracies in global south. Recent economic failure in Sri Lanka leads to political turmoil, right? Full stop. Also in 2007, Bangladesh lowered GDP is one among the cause for the democratic breakdown, right? Fine. Now the next paragraph. But India, which abruptly became a democratic nation after 200 years of being colonized, full stop, there are various reasons for its exception from modernization theory of democracy. One, historical and social origins. In many ways, India's historical and social origins of democracy are different from the West. While in European history, democratic rights were won over aristocratic privilege and monarchs, in India, these battles were against the colonial masters, and particularly under our great leaders like Gandhi, groups were forged together to fight common enemy. This required methods of consensus building and conflict management through co-opting dissent, right? Fine. Now the next second point, second subheading, civil society. In evolution of democracy in countries, the power of state was hemmed in by civil society with interest-based associations. In India, groups are based on ethnic identities, full stop. This meant larger emphasis on group rights than individual rights, right? Fine. Now the third paragraph, heterogeneous society. India is extremely heterogeneous and the elements of even the dominant political coalition quite diverse, where no individual group is strong enough to hijack the state. Next, fourth subheading, people's participation. In electoral process, the Indian masses, particularly the poor and socially disadvantaged, take participatory role than in advanced industrial democracies, full stop, right? So the last paragraph, the correlation between material development and democratic survival has failed not only in case of India but also in Turkey during 2016 to 18, despite being richest state, seen a democratic breakdown. All this still mean that there could be no deterministic relationship between democracy and development, full stop. However, there is no doubt that democracy is stable in affluent countries, but with world's largest democracy and sustaining with it for 7 decades. India is being an exception and will be an exception in modernization theory of democracy, right? Fine. See, on the whole, when I read the answer, I felt it was okay, decent, right? But if you do some micro level nuances analysis, yes, this answer lacks in many dimensions, right? So now I'll just highlight what are those things, right? The first and foremost thing is, the question is, modernization thesis is contradicting the India's sustainable democratic presence. That is the question, right? Fine. So basically the problem is, the aspirant is having a dilemma to balance according to the demand of the question, because he has failed to put emphasis on why India is sustainable and successful. So there is a kind of imbalance to justify the question, justify the demand of the question. First thing, overall, right? Fine. Then see, I think there is no need to say Bangladesh is a failure, Turkey is a failure. See, certain things unnecessarily dragging the answer, right? And one thing which I personally feel very abrupt is the usage of word abruptly. See, he has mentioned, but India which abruptly became a democratic nation. So I feel that the word usage of word abruptly is not a perfectly fit one, right? So that should have been definitely avoided, right? Then see, historical and social origins, the first subheadings. See here again, this point could have been little bit more well refined, right? So this is okay, in one dimension this is okay, but it's not fulfilling and convincing, right? So yeah, that's it. And second, civil society. So that is again, the point is okay, fine, but he could have made it little bit more better, right? In the sense, using the word pressure groups, pluralistic model, right, competitive politics. So those things he could have used. So that again, like there is some kind of lack. Heterogeneous society. So again, see, heterogeneous society, again it's fine. So coalition. In fact, I liked this usage of word hijack the state, right? So that and all is good, fine. But again, here also the problem is he has not used many key jargons, right? Point wise, yes, I agree, these points are correct, but he has missed to use some more key jargons and substantiate little bit more well, right? Fine. Then the fourth paragraph, people's participation. In electoral process, the Indian masses, particularly the poor and socially disadvantaged, take participatory role than in advanced industrial democracies, right? Fine. See here again, the substantiation is not sufficient. I will tell you how the substantiation is not sufficient when I read my version of answer script, right? Fine. Then again he says that Turkey is a failure, right? And in the last paragraph he says, however, there is no doubt that democracy is stable in affluent countries. So like I think there is some kind of cloudiness, right? So which one he is trying to substantiate and justify, right? But on the whole, this answer is decent, right? And definitely on completing the first reading of the answer, yeah, it gives some sense of fullness, though there are some deficiencies in this answer. So this answer will get 11 out of 20. This answer will get 11 out of 20, right? Fine. Now I will read my version of answer. So again, I am reading the question. The modernization thesis asserts that affluence breeds a stable democracy. How do you explain the success of India being the world's largest democracy as an exceptional case, right? Fine. See, Seymour Martin Lipset posits that three social prerequisites are essential for a successful and sustainable democracy. They are 1. Wealth, 2. Education, 3. Industrialization, right? First. Right? Okay. Wealth leads to other factors as evidenced by the data from affluent capitalist countries of Europe and North America. Full stop. There is a functional interdependence among these factors. However, India fails into fit. However, India fails to fit into the Lipset's model due to the following reasons. Now, reason number one, post 200 years of colonial suppression, America emerged with a liberal democratic regime of Lockean model. Full stop. India too, through its struggle for independence, preferred a limited government with due checks and balances, creating a value system for rights, freedoms and liberties. So within bracket I have mentioned constitutional provisions like FRs, DPs, etc. So this particular dimension was missing in that answer written by an aspirant. Now the second reason, the second point, democratic ideals are not new to India. Democracy is as old as India, as we witness from Uttiramerur inscriptions and various other sources of history, right? So this is again putting an emphasis on why India is an exception, and again this particular dimension he could have added little bit more of evidences. He mentioned about the historical and social origins, but he failed to substantiate little bit more with the strength of argument, right? Fine. Now the third point, though it is to be admitted that caste-based prejudices, discriminations and inequalities exist in India, various constitutional safeguards like Article 15, 16, 17 and 18 of Indian Constitution and legislations like Prevention of SC/ST Atrocities Act 1989, provide necessary procedural and institutional mechanisms to create a conducive democratic way of life, right? Now the fourth point, democratic decentralization through 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Acts facilitated the active participation of grassroots in the political process. See, this particular dimension was again missing in that answer, right? Fine. Then the fifth point, in order to ensure fair and equitable representation in parliament, state assemblies and panchayats, reservations have been provided to the disadvantaged groups. Full stop. Conduct of free and fair elections, conduct of free and fair periodic elections through the principles of universal adult franchise has further strengthened the democratic spirit, right? Fine. Then next paragraph. Also, India is a pluralistic democracy with enough scope for the participation of multiplicity of pressure groups, interest groups and civil society members. Full stop. Then the sixth point, in a substantive if you compare this previous paragraph, that is the fifth one, with the answer written by the aspirant, you will be able to find the difference, right? We have given the link in description for the PDF file, so you can just click and view the answer script, right? Fine. Now the sixth point, in a substantive dimension, democracy is concerned with people standing up and asserting that they count, full stop. The way the farm laws were repealed in recent years stand testimony to the fact that there is a scope for dissent. Mechanism in Indian democracy. So this particular example was missing in that answer given by an aspirant, right? Fine. Then the seventh point, despite being still economically developing, India shares the same level playing field in education as other capitalist giant democracies do. Full stop. In fact, the oldest university in the world, Nalanda University, existed in India in 5th to 6th century BC, right? Full stop. Now the concluding paragraph, hence India is an exceptional case to Lipset's correlation between modernization and democracy. It is we the people who rule India and not any despotic ruler, right? Fine. So I hope now you will be in a position to compare the two versions of answer scripts and you will be able to identify what are the differences, right? So whenever you write an answer, it should exactly cater to the needs and demands of the question. That is first and foremost thing. Second thing is, it should give a fullness feeling to the examiner. See, an evaluator who is evaluating your answer sheet must get some sense of fullness and reasonableness after reading the answer. See, as far as UPSC Civil Services Mains exam is concerned, there is no perfectly right answer kind of thing. But the way you make it, the way you present it, the way you put your arguments, right, adds strength and value to your answer. And only that will fetch you higher score. See, for example, for this question, almost all the aspirants who are giving this political science mains will have the points. Points are nothing great, but the problem is the way you put it on paper, the way you argue your arguments, the way you add strength and value to the demand of the question. So that is going to ultimately differentiate the quality of answer. Only a qualitatively enriched answer will get good scores, right? Fine. Now I would say my version of answer script will get say around 14 to 15 marks. Maybe it depends on the examiner, if possible 16, but I don't know. But at least 14-15 marks is damn sure, right? Fine. So I hope you will be able to differentiate the quality of answer, and I wish you should also write a very qualitatively enriched answer and get good marks, right? Fine. Wish you all the very best. Thank you.